Hi, welcome to the second video of the Python course for absolute beginners. In this video, we will be learning about what are flowcharts. We will be learning some more complex algorithms and then convert them to flowcharts. Let me remind you something. Some algorithms and flowcharts might seem difficult to you for you to understand at this stage of time, and it is absolutely fine. No wrong in it. Because we have not started learning programming yet. We are just looking at what are algorithms and how algorithms are written and how to convert them into flowcharts. So it is absolutely fine if you don't understand the logic of it. Just sit back, relax and grab the knowledge. What is a flowchart? Flowchart is a graphical representation of an algorithm or a program. Means what? The algorithms or the programs that we write can be represented in a graphical format. Now let us take an example of an algorithm that we saw in the first video, addition of two numbers. Now if we see on the left, it is an algorithm where we add two numbers. First we take a number, store it in A, then we take the second number, store it in B, then we add the two numbers and store the answer in C, and then we display the answer which is stored in the variable C. On the right hand side, if we see, the same algorithm is represented in a graphical format. Okay, now let us see one by one. Now the first is start. If we see, the start and the end symbol are represented by a box with a curly borders. Okay, so start and end symbol is represented by the box with a curly borders. In the step 2 and step 3, if we see, we have taken an input from the user. So the input box is represented by a parallelogram. We have taken an input from the user and stored in the variable A as well as B. So an input step is represented by a parallelogram. On the step 4, if we see, the A and the B variable have been added and stored in C. So there is a process going on, correct? So a process is represented by a rectangle. Now again, if we come to step 5, it is an output, right? Show the answer in C. It is an output. So output is also represented in a parallelogram. So the input and output are represented in a parallelogram, while as the processing is represented in a rectangle. The start and end symbols are represented in a box with curly borders. Now let us modify this algorithm for addition of three numbers, and then we will see how the flowchart changes. So flowchart to add three numbers. So it is, you have to start with start, then first number in A, second number in B, third number in C. All the three steps are in parallelogram. Then A plus B plus C and store in Z. Add A plus B plus C and store in Z is in a rectangle, and show the answer Z is in a parallelogram again because it is an output and the end symbol. And this is the algorithm for addition of three numbers. Now we will see one more example. We will first write an algorithm to find the greater of two numbers, and then we will draw a flowchart based on that algorithm. So what we'll do is we'll take two numbers from the user and display which is the greater of the two numbers. Okay. So what will be the algorithm? First step is start as usual. Second step is take the first number from the user and store it in A. We'll need two numbers, right? So we'll take the first number from the user and store it in A. Step 3 will be take second number from the user and store it in B. Now step 4. Now something has changed here, something new. If A is greater than B, go to step 5, else go to step 7. Now if you observe carefully, we have two numbers, A and B. Now if the number stored in A is greater than the number stored in B, then go to step 5. We are yet to write step 5. Okay. So understand this first. If A is greater than B, it will go somewhere. If not, it will go to step 7. Okay. So what is this? We are writing a condition here. If this condition is true, go there. If this condition is false, go here. Okay. So according to this, we'll write. What will the next step is? Step 5, show A is greater. Means what? If A is greater than B, go to step 5, right? If A is greater than B, it will show A is greater. If not, it will go to step 7. but this is step 5, right? So what should happen? After A is greater than B, it goes to step 5 and the program should end here, correct? After displaying one number is greater, it should end here. If this condition is not true, if A is not greater than B, it will go to 7. What is step 7? Show B is greater. Means if A is not greater than B, it will show B is greater and then end the program. We will understand this algorithm more better when we will see two examples. Now scenario 1, let us consider that user has entered the first number 10 and the second number is 5. Now very clearly we know that A is greater than B. Now at this step what will happen is, if A is greater than B, now if A is greater than B, is A greater than B? Yes, 10 is greater than 5. Where will it go? It will go to step 5. What is step 5? Show A is greater, correct? Show 10 is greater, show A is greater, A is 10, right? Show A is greater. Now we will take another scenario where the first number is 10 and the second number is 20. So B is greater, right? So when it comes to step 4, what will it check? If A greater than B? No, A is not greater than B, right? A is 10, B is 20. So B is greater than A. If A is greater than B is false. So it will not go here. It will go to the else part. That is go to step 7. So what is step 7? B is greater, correct? So it will print 20 is greater. So in this scenario, what will happen? It will start, it will take first number, second number, then it will check whether first number is greater or second number is greater. In scenario 2, second number is greater. So it will go to step number 7 and print B is greater. So this is something new for you to understand. We will learn these conditions, loops thoroughly when we will write actual programs. Let us understand here what is an algorithm and what is a flowchart and how they are written. Now we will look at how the flowchart for this program is determined. Okay, so the algorithm for the greater of two numbers is this, and on the right hand side we will draw a flowchart. So first step is take first number from the user and store it in A. Third step is take second number from the user and store it in B. Now after this, a new symbol will come and the symbol looks like a kite, correct? So when we have to make a decision, we use a kite symbol. So if A is greater than B, so if A is greater than B, now there will be two options to it, yes or no. If A is greater than B, it will come down. It will, if the condition is true, it will come down and say the first number is greater, right? A is greater than B, right? A is first number. So first number is greater and it will end the program. It will end the algorithm and the flowchart. Now we'll see the other condition. If A is not greater than B, means if B is greater, correct? It will go to no and it will print the second number is greater and it will end, correct? If A is greater than B, yes, means first number is greater. If A is greater than B, no, it will print second number is greater and it will end. Now rather than writing two end, we can also write one end and join this arrow like this. Okay, this is a simple flowchart to find greater of two numbers. Now as we are moving ahead, we should start thinking like a coder or a programmer. So what is happening is, in this scenario, either A is bigger or either B is bigger. What if both the numbers are equal? If the user enters both the number same, what will happen to this flowchart? Like, it will not go anywhere, right? It does not go. This condition does not satisfy. It is either A is greater or B is greater. So it has yes or no. But what if both the numbers are equal? So let us modify this same algorithm and see what happens when the user enters two numbers which are same. What we will do here is, we will add a first condition as if A is equal to B. So we'll check if the numbers entered by the user A and B are same. If both the numbers are equal, the condition is satisfied. So it will go to yes part and it will print both are equal and it will end the program. However, if A and B are different numbers, it should go to no part, correct? Condition is what? If A is equal to B, then go to yes, both are equal. Now if A and B are not equal, it will go to the no part, right? In the no part, we will check if A is greater than B or not. If A is greater than B, yes, it will show first number is greater and it will end. If first number is not greater, that means if A is not greater than B, it will go to no part and it will print the second number is greater and it will end the flowchart. It will end the program. So here what we did is, we modified our program for two conditions. First we'll check if A is equal to B. If not, then only we will check if A is greater than B or B is greater than A. Again reminding you, few algorithms at this stage might seem difficult to you to understand, and it is absolutely fine, no harm in it. Because we have not started learning programming yet. We are just looking how the algorithms are written and how they are converted into flowcharts. Let us not get into the logic of it exactly. We will be anyways learning the logic when we will be learning the programming. Here, just focus on how algorithms are built and how they are converted into flowcharts. Trust me, once we start writing the programs, these algorithms will be like a piece of cake for you. Just sit back and grab the knowledge. Now let us look at a very interesting algorithm and flowchart to find sum, that is total of the first 50 numbers. Means what? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 up to 50. Now again this is limited to 50, right? We should not be limited to some number. If I want till 250, so 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to 250, we should get an answer. So let us start writing an algorithm for this. So first step is start. Second step is use variable A and total and store 0 in them. Now try to understand the algorithm. We are not going into programming details. Once we start writing Python programs, we will understand all the concepts more clearly. What we are learning here is understanding algorithm, how to write an algorithm. So here in the second step, we use variables A and total and store 0 in them. Okay, let us see the working on the right hand side. What is happening with each variable. In the step 2, there are two variables, variable A and total, and both has number 0 in it. Now the third step is add 1 to A. So this A, we are adding 1 to it. Okay, let us add 1 to it. So in the third step, value of A is 1 and the value of total is 0. In the fourth step, what we are doing is we are adding this value of A to the total. So total is equal to total plus A. So in the next step, what will happen? A is equal to 1 and total will also become 1 because total's initial value is 0 and we are adding 1 to it. So total becomes 0 plus 1, that is 1. Then next step, what we will do is we'll check if A is equal to 50. See, we are doing an algorithm for this sequence up to 50. So we will check if A is equal to 50. This A is 50. Then go to step 6. There will be a step 6. And that step 6 will be print the total. That means we have got our 50 numbers and we are printing the total, which is in the total variable. And then we will end the program. However, if here at step 5, if A is equal to 50 is not satisfied, right? A is 1 here, right? A is not 50, A is 1. So this condition will be false, where it will not go to 6, but it will go to step 3. It will go to 3. What is 3? Add 1 to A. So in the next step, it will go here and it will add 1 to A. So A's value will become 2 and step 4 says add A to the total. So this A will be added to the total. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So the value of total is 3. In the next step, it will again check if A is equal to 50. Is A equal to 50? No, A's value is 2. So it will go to again step 3. It will again add 1 to A, right? In A, it added 1, so 2 becomes 3 and total 3 is added in the initial total. So 3 plus 3 is 6. Again it will come down. Again it will check whether is value of A 50. No, it is not 50. It will again add 1 to A. So A becomes 4 and it will add this value of A in the total. So value of total becomes 6 plus 4, that is 10. And this loop will continue until we get the value of A as 50. Once the value of A becomes 50, it will go to step 6, right? We have written here, if A is equal to 50, then go to step 6. It will come here and then it will print the total is total. So the total is 1275 and it will print it. And the flowchart will end and the algorithm will end here. Correct? So I learnt this algorithm in 7th standard and I was astonished. I just felt in love with programming after looking at this. Just imagine on a calculator, if you are doing 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 up till 50, how much time it will take? If you do up till 250, it will take more time. But programs like this, one program you write and you just run the program and within seconds, you get your answer. Instead of writing a is equal to 50, if I write a is equal to 250, this program will run with the same speed and give me an immediate results, right? Rather than I doing it on a calculator. So this was my first algorithm which I loved, which I liked, and I started falling in love with programming. Now what we will do is, rather than having a limited number of 50, we will have the user enter till what number he wants the addition. If the user says I want till 1000, if the user says I want till 10, so the program should run only that amount of time, that quantity of time, and get the answer. So what to do is, we will modify this algorithm to something else, and in that what we will do is, we will add another variable n and ask the user to enter the value till what it wants an addition and store that variable in n. So if the user wants the addition of first 20 numbers, 30 numbers, 40 numbers, so he will enter that number here. So how the program will run? So first it will accept the number. Suppose user says 40, it uses variable a and total and store 0 in them as usual in the last algorithm we saw. Then this process remains same. It will add 1 to variable a and it will add this variable into total and give us a total. So this will continue till this condition is satisfied. What is the condition now? Last time it was if a is equal to 50, right? Now the condition is if a is equal to n. Now n is what? N is what user has entered, the number of times he want this addition. So if the user enters 10, this condition will be checked if the value of a becomes 10. So this loop will carry on till the value of a becomes the value of n. Once the value of a becomes value of n, a reaches value of n, it will come down to the 7th step and it will print the total is the total. So the program will end here after this. Got it? Once we write a flowchart for this, you will understand it more clearly. So let us write an flowchart now. So the first step is start. Second is input the number from the user and store it in n. Then let us get an variable a and total and store 0 in it. Now this is not an input, right? This is a processing. So it will come in a rectangular box. This is input. So it will come in a parallelogram. This is again processing, right? We are adding 1 to a. So a is equal to a plus 1 will come in a rectangle. Then next is total is equal to total plus a. This is again processing. So it will come in a rectangle. Now here we will check the condition. If a is equal to n, is the value of a is equal to n, the number that the user wants. We want an iteration to run. This thing happened till the time the user has entered the number, correct? So if a is equal to n, then only it will show the total and end. Otherwise, no, it will go to step number 4 and it will keep on adding 1 to a and again come down and check whether a's value has become as the user has entered. And while doing this, it will keep on adding a to the total. If the condition is satisfied, if the user has entered 10 and the a's value becomes 10, the program will come down and it will print the value which is stored in total and the program will end. So this is a very interesting algorithm and a flowchart to find sum or a total of the first any numbers. Now let us look at a last algorithm and flowchart, that is to find the greatest of the entered numbers. So what we are writing here is we are writing an algorithm and drawing a flowchart for a program which will find the greater of the numbers that the user enters. So we will ask user 5 numbers and out of those 5 numbers we will try to find out which is the greater number. So we will write an algorithm first for that. So we'll start, then we will use a variable great n, right? So I can name the variable anything, right? A, B, C, Z. So now I'm naming a variable great n. So that is great number. So use variable great n and store 0 in it. So let us understand the algorithm first. Step 3, use variable I and store 1 in it. Now input or get the number from the user and store the variable in n. Now this number, this number is very important because this number we will be checking whether it is greater or not, and then we will be storing this variable n in this great N number. We will be storing only the number which are greater in this great N, and finally we will show which is the greater number. Next step, step 5 is if n is greater than great N, if the new number that the user has entered is greater than the great N stored with us, then this number will go here. The great N will be replaced. The number in the great N will be replaced by n. That's what we are doing. If n is greater than n, go to step 6. What is step 6? Store the new number in great N. So this number will go in great N. Otherwise, go to step 7. If this number is not greater than the number that we are stored with, if n is not greater than great N, we will just ignore this number and we will go to step 7. What is step 7? It will increment the value of I. Correct? This I, it will increment the value of I by 1. So it will go to 1, 2, 3, 4 up till 5. So we will check if I is greater than 5. So this iteration we have to do till 5 times, right? So if I is greater than 5, go to 9. That means step 9 will be the printing that the greater number is great N. We have find the greater number. So we will print it here. Otherwise, if the numbers I is not greater than 5, that means the number of I is 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5, it will go to step 4. Correct? If the I is greater than 5, it will go to step 9. If I is not greater than 5, it will go to step 4. What is step 4? It will take another number from the user and store it in N. Then again this N will be checked by this previous number of great N. If it is greater than this, N will go in great N. Otherwise the number will skip and it will be incremented. Now we'll see a flowchart for this and you will understand it more clearly. Okay, so first step is start. Second is get variable great N and store in 0 in it. So great N is 0 now. Get a variable I and store 1 in it. So I becomes 1. Get a number from the user and store in variable N. Okay, so these are the 3 inputs we are getting. Now what we'll do is, so in the next step we will check whether this new number entered is greater than great N. In the first iteration, what will happen? Suppose the user enters 10. The great N has number 0. So 10 greater than 0. Is 10 greater than 0? Yes, obviously 10 is greater than 0. So what will happen is it will go to yes and it will store 10 in great N. So now new number of great N will be what? 10 after this iteration. Whatever the number user enters, it will go in great N. Then it will come down and it will increment I. The value of I will increment by 1. If the number entered by the user is not greater than great N. Now suppose in the second iteration it enters 2. In the first iteration the value of great N is 10. The new value is 2. Is 2 greater than 10? No. So if this condition is no, it will just skip this number. It will just skip this step and it will go to I is equal to I plus 1. So I becomes 2, 3, 4 until this condition is satisfied. That is if A is greater than 5, because we have to do this for 5 numbers, right? So until this condition is satisfied, it will continue asking the user a number N. It will store the number. It will check whether the number is greater than the great N. If the number is greater, this new number will become great N. And otherwise, this will come to incrementing value of I and this step will be skipped. So this iteration will continue for 5 times. Once this iteration is done, we have got a greater number in great N variable and the program will end. Now to understand this algorithm and flowchart, let us take specific scenarios. Okay, so these are 3 variables I, great N and N. What will happen in the first step? In the first step, great N, the value of great N is 0, the value of I is 1 and the value in N, the user, get the number from the user and store in N if the user enters number 10. So this is the scenario at the first step here, 1, 2 and 3. After the third step, this is the scenario. And now the flowchart comes to the condition if N is greater than great N. Now this N is greater than great N. Yes, 10 is greater than 0. So what will happen is this great N will have the new number 10. I will be incremented by 1. Now I will be checked. Is I greater than 5? No. I is 2, right? So no. So it will go to this. It will again ask the user the new number. So it will come to the user and ask the user a new number. Suppose the user enters 20. The value of great N will become 20 because the condition here. If N is greater than great N, 20 is greater than 10, yes. So great N will have 20 now. Great N will have the new number now. I will be incremented by 1. So I becomes 3. Condition will be checked. If I is greater than 5. Is 3 greater than 5? No. It will again come here and ask the user a new number. Now, suppose the user enters number 5. Okay. Now, in this condition, if N greater than great N, is N greater than great N? No. Correct? No. So, what it will do is, it will just come here and increment value of I. Correct? So, the value of great N remains same. It is not incremented, right? On the no, it will come down. It will increment value of I. And then it will check if I is greater than 5. Correct? And in this step, value of I becomes 4. It will check if I is greater than 5. No, it will again go here because 4 is not greater than 5, right? So it will again ask the user a new number. Suppose user enters 3. Now again, it will check if N greater than great N. Is 0, 3 greater than 20? No, it is not greater. So it will come here and go to I is equal to I plus 1. So 20 will remain as it is and 4 will be incremented and becomes 5. This condition, if I greater than 5, is I greater than 5? No, I is equal to 5, not greater than 5. So it will go to no and get another number from the user. Now suppose the user enters 45. The flowchart will come down. It will check if N is greater than great N. N is greater than great N? Yes, it is greater than great N. So what will happen is great N will have N now. This great N will have N now. So great N becomes 45. I will be incremented by 6. Program will come down and check if I is greater than 5. Is I greater than 5? Yes. I is greater than 5. Yes, this condition is satisfied. So we will print the greater number is great N. What is the value in great N? 45. So out of the 5 numbers that the user has entered, which is the greater number? 45. So we have got an answer, that is 45 is our greatest number. Hope you have understood this algorithm and flowchart. This might seem complicated at this moment, but once we start writing programs based on these algorithms and flowcharts, everything will be very easy. That's it for this video. In the next video, we will see how to install Python, how to install a code editor, that is Visual Studio Code, where we will be writing our Python code. We will also discuss why we are using that code editor specifically. If you have not subscribed to the channel, just subscribe it right now because things are getting interesting, and click on that like button because this video should reach more people who can take advantage of these videos. See you in the next video.